Hello class. Welcome to another lesson here on YouTube. We are looking at part 2 of our series on phrasal verbs on communication. So today we are going to look at 5 different phrasal verbs from our previous class. We're going to be explaining each one with examples, and whenever possible, I will be translating the equivalent to Spanish. But for the most part, we will be relying on our English definition to guide these instructions. So let's look at number 1, which is to stand up for. So when we stand up for something, we speak in support of someone, a group of people, a particular issue, or a particular idea. So we use this in protests, for example. Let's look at number 1. We protested to show our support and stand up for those affected. They stood up against the pollution caused by factories in the area. I stood up against these policies that fail to protect the animals of the area. So notice these examples are talking about protest, about social responsibility. To stand up can mean can be used in this context and can also be used in a casual context. For example, I stand up for my friend. She is right and this is wrong. Yeah, so that could be a more casual way when you are kind of showing support for someone, your mother, your friend, etc., in a particular situation. Yeah, so stand up for just means to support. It is used in this context for protest and for social responsibility. It can also be used in a casual way. I stand up for my friend, I am showing support, etc. All right, class, let's continue. We have to blurt out. This is a funny one as well. To blurt out means to say something abruptly or to speak suddenly without previous thought, without much deliberation, with much thought in your mind. You didn't think before you spoke. So for example, he blurted out the surprise. Now she knows we are planning a surprise party. Yeah, he said, oh, they're having a... He blurted out. Yeah, that means that you speak without thinking. Yeah. And they blurted out the good news. They could not wait any longer. Yeah. So this can be positive or negative. It depends on the context. It essentially means to speak abruptly. Yeah. To speak without thinking, and you blurt out information. Yeah. All right. Let's look at our next one. We have talk down. So this is an interesting phrasal verb. It's used very often. Hopefully you don't have many experiences like this, but to talk down means to speak kind of in a manner that oversimplifies something. There's a tone. Yeah, the tone is very important. It's a particular action. Yeah, when you talk down, usually you're talking down to someone. Yeah, usually you're not talking down to an object or anything, an animal or anything like that. You're usually talking down to a person. It is usually a disrespectful, that's incorrect there. It is usually a disrespectful way of speaking to another person. For example, hopefully you have not experienced this, but someone who says, it is to the left, someone who is talking down is usually being disrespectful, thinks that you are not understanding them. And so they have to oversimplify something that is already logical. Yeah. He talked down to the waiter. It was really unpleasant. It was not his fault. He ordered the wrong meal. So in this particular example, we have this specific context. Yeah. He talked down to the waiter. That means he was the person who was ordering in a restaurant. Yeah. He ordered in a restaurant and he spoke in a disrespectful way to the waiter, the worker. Yeah. It was unpleasant. It was not his fault. So it was not the waiter's fault. Yeah. It was not the waiter's fault that the man, yeah, this is the man, so this is the client, yeah. The disrespectful client, it was not the waiter's fault. The disrespectful client ordered a different meal. So he received pasta and he expected pizza, but he ordered pasta. Yeah. So he was disrespectful. He talked down to the waiter. Do you know what a pizza is? This is not a pizza. Something like that. Yeah, that would be to talk down to someone. Okay. Let's continue and let's look at speak out. To speak out is similar to stand up for. Yeah. It means to give a sincere or bold opinion about something or someone, and it is usually an unexpected or surprising testimony, and it is usually given publicly. So we hear speaking out very commonly in the news. We have, interviews of people speaking out about a particular issue, a particular situation, a particular person, etc. To speak out is when a person or a group of people give a sincere or bold opinion. It is usually unexpected, it is surprising to hear, and it is usually given publicly. Not always is it a situation with the news or interviews, but it can also be given in the context of in a company. I spoke out against the manager to the director, etc. Yeah. For example, people will be surprised to know she is not an advocate for human rights and speaks out against abuse. So wait one moment. She is. So people will be surprised to know she is an advocate for human rights and she speaks out against abuse. To be an advocate for and to speak out, these are usually synonyms. Yeah. So to speak out is the action when it's consistent. It's the action of being an advocate. The advocate in this case would be an adjective. Yeah. So it would describe a person. The workers came together and spoke out about their experience working for the company. Yeah. So in the past. And she spoke out in favor of the switch and leadership. So that means to make public your opinion. That's essentially to speak out. It's to give a bold opinion and to make it public, to make public what your opinion is about. Let's go to our final phrasal verb for today. We have to point out. To point out has two contexts. To direct attention to something or someone. For example, Marcos pointed out the lemon tree in the backyard. Anna is pointing out her son in the crowd, so in the group of people. And could you point out where is the nearest bathroom? Could you point out where is the nearest bathroom? Yeah. So to point out is to direct attention, yeah, to direct attention or direction, yeah, to something or someone. In this case, the bathroom would be to point out a direction. And context number 2 is to make someone aware of something. Yeah. So for example, the manager pointed out the strategies to follow in the report. Yeah. So to indicate, yeah, to point out would be in this context to indicate, yeah, to indicate something, to call attention to something, to make someone aware of a particular piece of information. I want to point out that it is important to use a face mask before leaving the house. So I want to indicate, I want to direct that it is important. I want to give this information. She likes to point out that she never agreed to that plan. So she likes to remind people. She likes to remind people that she never agreed to this plan. She likes to indicate that she never agreed to this plan. Yeah. All right, class, I hope this was useful for you. We will continue looking at phrasal verbs Please use the comments below to ask any questions you might have about any of these expressions, any of these phrasal verbs, and other phrasal verbs you want to see in our next lessons, any themes you'd like to work with, and any other general questions you might have. As you saw at the beginning, we are using Instagram to vote on our next couple of classes. So if you want to follow us, it'll be here in this video and in the description box as well. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time with our part 2 of phrasal verbs that have to do or that we use with communication.